Welcome to 18th Century Cooking. I'm your host, John Townsend, and today we'll be cooking something that seems very, very modern, but has this rich, wonderful historical connection, and we'll be cooking with bacon, so it's got to be great. Thanks for joining us today as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. So today's recipe comes out of the Housewife's Family Companion. This is William Ellis, 1750, an English cookbook. This is a lot of sort of cookery, and some of it is animal husbandry. There's medicine in this book. It's a lot of different information in it. There's a recipe here in the back or in the middle that is for, what's he call them? He calls them little bacon pasties that are boiled. Now, I believe that if I brought you a plate of these and I did not say where they came from, that you would say that I got takeout from a Chinese American restaurant, because these are going to end up looking a lot like a pot sticker or maybe even something like a wonton, depending exactly how you make them. But they're a very similar dish. And yet right here, they're English cookery, even English country cookery from the 1750s. Let me read you this recipe. Little bacon pasties to boil for a farmer's family. Mix a pottle of wheat flour with a sufficient quantity of warm water into a stiff paste. Roll it thinly out for making 6, 8, or 10 little pasties. This done, take a half a pound of bacon, cut it into very small, thin slices. Lay some on a piece of paste with a good store of parsley and thyme shredded small, to which you add a little black pepper and make it a pasty fashion. Proceed thus till all the paste in the bacon is made use of. Put them all into a pot of boiling water. Keep them boiling 3/4 of an hour with a quick fire. If these boiled bacon pasties are to be made better, use new milk instead of water with melted butter or lard. You may also, if you please, add up some chopped onions or any other relishing herb or root. So you get this wonderful recipe for these little boiled, he calls them pasties. There's an earlier recipe that's very similar he calls them dumpling, and in that spot it really kind of has to do with whether it's got a thin paste or a thick paste around the meat. And these are boiled up. They sure turn out really interesting, and I love the fact that he gives us some commentary here and some suggested alterations. So we're gonna have fun making up these little boiled pasties. Let's get started. So let's make up this very simple, I guess we would call it a dough. In the 18th century, it would be called just a simple paste. Obviously, we've got just some plain wheat flour here, like the recipe calls for. And instead of water, I'm gonna go ahead and make his richer version and add some milk into that and mix this around until we get a kind of a pie doughy kind of paste out of this. This dough looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and roll this out so that we can wrap it up into our dumplings or pasties as it's called. We've got the dough rolled out nice and fine. We need to cut it into shapes that make these little pasties. And there's a couple different simple shapes that you'll see at least referenced multiple times. One is a little cup shape, and then there's the other shape that is sort of like a half moon, where you take a round little piece, you put the items in the center, and then you fold it over and seal it down like that. So in both those cases, we need little circles. So I'm gonna cut out some little circles out of this dough. Okay, the dough pieces are ready, and I've got the meat that we're gonna put in it. We also have a few other ingredients that they call for: parsley, a little bit of thyme, and I've got a little bit of salt and pepper also, along with just a touch of milk to help seal these up. So let's start off with this. We'll try a couple different shapes. We'll put a little bit of milk around the outside edge first. Let's go ahead and start off with a little bit of bacon on here. I'm not sure exactly how much we want to put inside this. It'll cook faster if we don't have it too full. There we go. A little bit of salt. That looks great. A little bit of pepper, or a lot of pepper in this case. A little bit of parsley, and just a touch of thyme. Here we go. Let's get this sealed up. This one I'm going to try to do a bit more like a pasty here. 4-sided top. There we go. We could probably fit a little bit more in than this one with this size. So these guys are ready for cooking. Now, in the same way that he gave suggestions for different kinds of meat to put in there, he also actually has 2 recipes, one right after the other, essentially the same, except one is boiled and the other ones are baked. So we're going to try these 2 different ways. We're going to basically take exactly the same thing. We're going to bake some right in our reflector oven right here by the fire, and we'll also have the ones going in the boiling water, so we can see how they turn out one way or the other. So let's get these going. There we are. We have the boiled dumplings, or pasties in this case, and the baked ones. And the baked ones actually turned out very nicely. You know, baking in that little side reflector oven worked out great. So let's cut these open. I'm really interested to see about how the interiors worked, especially on these boiled ones. The boiled ones are nice because you don't need to have an oven, and they can probably, it's hard to overcook them, right? I did get some air pockets in these. I think if I was going to redo them, I would make sure to press as much air out as possible because they kind of puff up as soon as they heat up. But we can try that. There we go. There's the look on the inside. You got to make sure these boiled ones seal really well. These, a little bit of water got in there. That's all right though. Let's find out how the boiled ones turned out. There we go. The meat is completely done. That tastes great. Spices, and even though a little bit of water got in there, still salt and pepper, the herbs, taste those, they taste great. Let's try one of these baked ones. I think I've got that one. That's ham. We don't want that. Let's see what's in this one. I can't remember what that. Oh yeah. Yeah, the baked one turned out great. You can see there. This one's bacon, just like the recipe. Smells wonderful because of the bacon in there. The bacon looks pretty done. Oh, that bacon one is perfect. I was kind of worried because, you know, when you don't cook bacon, say, you know, fried in a pan or whatnot, you're not sure whether it's completely cooked. Nobody wants kind of, you know, slimy cold bacon. Nobody wants to eat that. Cooked in this baked pasty, it was perfect, wonderful. All that flavor is trapped in there, just like the recipe mentioned. This baked one and both boiled and baked one, they keep the juices, the gravy in there that mixes with the crust, tastes wonderful. The flavors were wonderful. Earlier, I tried one of the beef ones. That turned out perfect. All the meat is cooked through. That recipe turns out perfect. If you don't have all the equipment you need, if you're just out in the camp, the boiled ones work out great. Great way to stretch the meat because you have all this dumpling or all this pasty that you have to eat also. And if you have access to an oven, you can bake them. Both of them turned out perfect. And another great addition, if we need just a little bit of sauce, a little bit of mushroom ketchup on the outside, that will really spice it up. I always recommend mushroom ketchup on a dish like this. If you like this one and you want something similar, a few years ago we did a larger beef pasty episode. Wonderful. Try this out.